Good afternoon. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome Honorable Finance Minister of India, Smt Nirmala Sitharaman, to the 15th edition of IESA's Vision Summit, which is happening yesterday and today. We fondly remember Honorable Finance Minister Smt Nirmala Sitharaman joining us in this event 5 years back, and I still can remember that inspiring talk that she gave that day. And I also fondly recall the budget speech of January 31st, 2020, when the Honorable Finance Minister announced a slew of incentives for the electronics and semiconductor segment. And we are already seeing the results of that incentives or that initiative which the Government of India took. And by the end of this fiscal year, I would assume that India probably will be manufacturing somewhere in the range of 25 to 30% of its electronic goods. The PLI scheme that was announced by the government a few months ago is already having a cascading effect, and we are all revising our numbers very fast as to what's going to be the value addition that's happening in the country. So many new initiatives this government has provided to the electronics and semiconductor industry, and I'm sure it's on the industry shoulders now to repose the faith that the government has given us, and we need to work hard to deliver the goods. With those words, let me welcome Honorable Finance Minister Smt Nirmala Sitharaman ji to address the Vision Summit 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've reminded me of the pleasant memory of having addressed you all earlier, several years ago. But I think today we are meeting at a time when the world has undergone a major shake-up, and India, particularly as we talk today, has gone through the pandemic with the citizens working together with the government to evolve ways in which they can come out of it. And if lives were to be protected, vaccination has been developed in this country. And even with the lockdown, the government ensured that no one would stay hungry. You saw that extraordinary measures had to be taken to keep this country safe. And today, as we talk, purely because of the dedication of the doctors, paramedics, and nurses and other staff, and also because the citizens are aware, we have touched 1 billion doses of vaccination have already been given. And crossing this mark, and as the ICMR DG, Dr. Bhargav, rightly observed, 1/7 of the world's vaccination already achieved has been achieved by India. And in that, the vaccine used by us are both manufactured in India. There are countries even today wondering if they'll be able to get their required doses of vaccination from wherever possible, because it's important for their citizens to be protected. I commence my brief address emphasizing on this achievement of India. Achievement I use with a certain sense of responsibility, not a claim in that sense, but it is something which was due to the people of India. We needed to protect our people, and the scientists of India have done us proud, the doctors of India have done us proud, and we've come to this milestone today. So with that said, indicating what India's scientists can achieve, I'm sure we can also today talk of the great achievements of Indian technocrats. It is not without reason that the world looks at us saying, how does India achieve so many milestones in the STEM sciences? STEM as a subject, set of subjects, whether it is science and technology or engineering or medicine. But in specific, I would like to highlight today that the electronic manufacturing has become the backbone of India's Make in India. Make in India, which was announced by Prime Minister Modi, and since after his announcement in 2014-15, and then in 16 holding big gatherings, inviting global investors to make India as their hub of manufacturing, Make in India acquired a big stature. But from then till today, we can see how rapidly electronics industry has grown, that today I can safely say you've now become the backbone of India's manufacturing plank. So the Make in India actually has a big contribution which it derives from the electronics manufacturing. The national policy of electronics in 2019, I think, has been already notified, and this policy has a vision to position India as a global hub of electronic system design and manufacturing. And today, a lot of experts clearly say that the digital economy in India is worth about 200 billion US dollars as it is today. And we hope by about 2025, it will touch 1 trillion US dollars. And this is not just an idle number. Considering that India's position in electronics manufacturing and systems design, and the way in which Indian startups and others are building up on their strengths, it is quite possible and well within our reach to achieve this target. So I would think India has become the second largest mobile phone manufacturer. It's not without an effort from the technocrats who are involved. In volume terms, we are the second largest. And today, I think we can say from where we were in 2014-15 with just about 3 manufacturers, we have today nearly 33 crore units. 33 crore units. And these are not very large scale manufacturers. They are fairly in the middle range, and some of them are small manufacturers as well. So I think the IESA's vision, therefore, is a vision which is going to have not just a futuristic look, but also the spread across board. Large units, small units, all of them together are the ones which are going to carry the electronic story forward. And therefore, your vision, I'm sure, during this summit, will be able to see an India which is going to have electronics manufacturing across the board, spread across the country, and as a result of which benefit the technically qualified people all over the country. Even as we are talking about the electronic manufacturers, the role of the startup ecosystem is also something which is going to help us. Startups per se are in all sectors. They are trying to do a lot of things for the agro industries. They are also joining in the pharma. They are the space, tech, and so on. FinTech has a very big contribution from the startups as well. But what I would think is that that ecosystem itself gives a bit of a succor, and also provides the platform on which electronics industry in India can also think about the ways in which they can spread to give further strength to the startup ecosystem, because startups by their very nature, depend a lot on technology, and that is going to have to be strengthened by the electronics also. So I would think where there are over 330 incubators and accelerators in this country, 50,000 startups, 95 billion US dollars valuation. These are just the right kind of fertile ground for the electronics industry, electronics manufacturing industry, also to focus on, to see what is the kind of need that they will generate so that you can service them as well. So most of the foreign brands and Indian brands also have already set up their manufacturing centers in India. And I think very many of them also have subcontracted their jobs to electronics manufacturing services company operating from India. And if that is the way in which business is growing for the electronics manufacturing services within India, and there are about 200 units of manufacturing centers which are manufacturing cellular mobile phones, this seems to be the growing world. And if it is the growing world, are we just going to be looking at immediately servicing this world, or looking at this world leapfrogging us to a day in future, which is going to give us a futuristic advantage, which your vision should enlist, your vision should project a map, your vision actually should give enormous play field for these kind of ground indigenously grown capacities. And therefore your vision, I would think, will place India in the next 15 years, next 20 years, next 50 years as to where we can be with these existing advantage, which across the board helps us to see what are the possible grounds with which we can start building a larger setup. Though the Indian electronic services manufacturing sector had faced some major roadblocks earlier, I recognize you faced some roadblocks. The pandemic has highlighted the limitations of over-dependency, and this is an area which I'm sure all of you all are talking during your summit itself. The limitations that you're all facing because of excessive dependence on a single geography to supply your materials. I think the pandemic has compelled us to think about ways in which we can come out of it. Atmanirbhar Bharat has to be working in our minds, not so much to close our frontiers, but more to make sure that we can build on our strengths and be able to provide what we depend on somebody else, but for India to provide that for the rest of the world. So I think time is ripe for India to look at relieving ourselves from that excessive dependence on some one geography to looking at how we ourselves can provide that base for ourselves and also produce in such a way that we can replace some countries in the global market. So I would think the PLI scheme, which has been so carefully designed after consultation with the stakeholders, particularly for IT hardware, PLI scheme for large-scale electronics manufacturing, have all come up with a very positive response from around the world. A lot of manufacturers, a lot of investors have really taken the PLI scheme, particularly for the electronics subcomponents, as a very serious attempt by India to be able to, like a magnet, absorb a lot of these industries coming from all over the world. And I think your vision should also see from PLA what, beyond PLA what, that the industry can do and expects to do. I think just one thought on the PLI related matter itself. 16 applications have been approved under the scheme already. Over the next 5 years, more schemes these schemes which have been approved are expected to lead to a total production of about 10.57 lakh crores. More than 60% of production will go towards export. And therefore, this scheme is also expected to bring in additional investment of 10,750 crores. So domestic value addition will obviously create jobs. The nature of things being what it is, the ecosystem will have a multiplier effect, and that itself can grow. We are also looking at modified electronics manufacturing clusters, which again will be open for receipt of applications for the next 3 years. And for a further period of 5 years, it will be available with all the disbursement of funds provided for them. So with all this, I think it is possible. The digital economy alone being about 1 trillion US dollars will obviously have a big role to play in the $5 trillion economy that we are targeting by 2025. Incremental manufacturing of INR 15 lakh crores and exports of 10 lakh crore, along with the employment which it can create about 10 lakh people, this industry, this electronic sector itself holds a very big promise for India's economic revival post the pandemic. So I think this Vision Summit has so much to contribute. At this point in time, when India is looking for a quick, sustained recovery, your vision will take us for the next 2-3 decades. So I would think that I will be keenly watching to see what your Vision Summit is going to give us, and that shall help us stir more activity in the manufacturing sector, and it shall give idea for policymakers to see what best can be further done to support the cause of the electronic manufacturing in India. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Finance Minister Smt Nirmala Sitharaman ji. Yes, we do promise as an industry body, we will work with our members to fulfill that dream. The foundation for all the components that need to come together has all been put together by the government with various schemes, as you mentioned, the startup, the MSMEs, the large industries, the design ecosystem, and the academic research and academia interfaces. I think we need to stitch them together and leapfrog the country to the numbers that we all aspire to make it, as India becoming a net electronic exporter in the next decade. And that's precisely the vision. This is going to be the accelerated growth decade for India in electronics design and manufacturing. And we, on behalf of IESA, thank you very much for your presence today. And we are aware that you are in the present middle of urgent meetings to follow right after this talk. In spite of that, spending time with us, sincerely appreciate you, and thank you very much for the kind gesture.